this, the day after the real proof drops. Not rumors or flight logs, but undeniable footage of world leaders doing hideous, unmentionable things to children. The world reacts with horror. Governments crumble. Markets collapse. Chaos spreads. Why? Because when power is suddenly removed without a plan, a vacuum forms, and nature abhors a vacuum. Now imagine you hold that proof, evidence implicating presidents, billionaires, architects of global control. You could release it, or you could use it to force them to surrender, dismantle their networks, and retreat without war. That's not corruption, that's leverage. And leverage is how you remove power without triggering collapse. To the doubters who say Trump is on the list, ask yourself, if that were true, why did they deploy everything to stop him? Lawfare, fake investigations, a CIA-signed Russia hoax, even attempts on his life. If they had the leverage on Trump, they would have used it already. But they haven't, because they don't. I wish Trump didn't have to lie. I wish there were another way. Maybe this bizarre, out of sync with MAGA behavior is the wink and the nod. Maybe acting out of character is the message. This isn't about feelings. It's not about outrage or hashtags. It's about power and how it's strategically neutralized. You don't take down the Illuminati or New World Order with a lawsuit. You do it with leverage. Silent, invisible, world-shaping leverage. My friends, we are all anonymous, and welcome to the real world.
Dr. Marks here. I'm the gentleman that was on the Sean Ryan podcast that talked about pedophilia and explained how their networks is coming from someone who, one, hunts pedophiles and protects children through our task force. This is the reality that I want people to understand. And the reason why the Epstein list will not come out, like I've said from the beginning, is because it is an intelligence operation. The best form of currency right now for control and power in our world is videos or pictures of children being abused by certain adults. When you have those as leverage, you can control a person to make decisions that will shape nations and truly make the difference in both political, legal, business, and world economics. The moment you prosecute a pedophile that would be on that list, you lose the leverage on them, and you also risk them telling the rest of the story.
Seen as more damaging to foreign economies. President Donald Trump's policies are having a major impact on the American currency.
In 1960, Africa gained its flags, its anthems, its presidents, but not its financial freedom. For decades, our leaders changed, our parliaments changed, our borders changed, but the money never did. If your currency is printed in Paris, if your debts are calculated in Washington, if every major import requires approval from banks in London, can you truly call yourself independent? For 65 years, that question has haunted African economies. And now, for the first time, there is a real attempt at an answer. A new global payment system has quietly connected over 180 countries, allowing them to trade, send money, and settle payments without passing through the old colonial gateways. No Paris, no London, no Washington, just direct transactions. Africa to the world. This is not conspiracy. This is not ideology. This is the first structural crack in a system built long before African voices ever mattered. And tonight, we will show you what changed, why it took this long, and why this moment might redefine Africa's economic destiny. The trap Africa has been stuck in. Since 1960, when most African nations raised their flags for the first time in 1960, the celebrations were real. Independence felt like a rebirth. New constitutions were drafted, liberation fighters became national heroes, and the colonial empires finally loosened their grip. But beneath the speeches and the ceremonies, one chain quietly remained unbroken: the chain of money. Because while presidents changed, the financial system didn't. Currencies across West and Central Africa were still printed in Paris. Foreign reserves were still controlled by European treasuries. International trade still had to pass through Western banks that acted as the global gatekeepers. Even countries outside the CFA franc zone found themselves caught in another web. the web of dollar dependency. Oil, wheat, machinery, medicine, everything Africa needed from the world was priced in one currency that Africa did not control. So here is the uncomfortable truth. Africa gained political freedom long before it gained economic power. And this design wasn't always deliberate. It was the result of systems built decades earlier, systems that made sense to the people who created them, but produced suffocating consequences for the nations that inherited them.
So any aid from the United States. So in the middle of the night, Donald Trump sent this tweet to communicate this to the whole world. So on this video, I'm going to talk about AGOA because that's very important. So you're probably wondering, what is AGOA? So AGOA is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, and it's a US trade program that gives African countries duty-free access to the American market. So in short, we are allowed to sell our things in America without paying any duty fee, right? So we can just export our stuff directly. So what does that mean if South Africa is left out? So this thing expires and need to be renewed yearly. So the previous one expired now in September, and then the new one is coming into effect soon. So South Africa has been left out of that list. So what is the impact of this? Well, this just means that for everything that we sell to the United States now, our products are going to be less competitive, and everybody else who is selling there, their product will be more competitive because our products will need to pay duties to be sold in the United States. For example, if we're selling avocados, for example, we will be selling our avocado at 5 rands because we need to pay 1 rand duty fee, whereas our neighboring countries like Zimbabwe, Botswana, and other African countries can sell theirs for 4 rand because they don't need to pay that duty fee. So that means that people are likely to buy the other people's stuff other than us, which means that we will lose the market. But what will be the fallout from this? First of all, the total amount of trade that we have with the United States is at around 5%, 4%, somewhere there. It used to be 6 to 7 before the tariffs, but now it has dropped, right? So that means that our exposure is about 5 to 6%. And it doesn't mean that all of our stuff is no longer going to be sold there. Many of the stuff will still continue to be sold there because there's a lot of things that we sell that other people don't have. So the impact isn't even that bad. And the South African government has been preparing for this because they've been threatening to kick us out of AGOA for a very long time. After we took this country to the ICJ, they said they're going to kick us out of AGOA. So we've been preparing. One of the ways that we've been preparing for this is that for the car manufacturing industries, they've been trying to reroute their products to no longer be going to the United States, to be sold in Europe, the rest of Africa, and the rest of Asia. So companies like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, and so on and so forth are going to be producing things, but no longer selling them to the United States as we used to. As for agriculture, we saw the Minister of Agriculture in the GNU government has been putting a lot of work to try to reroute agricultural stuff to Asia. I think we signed an agreement with ASEAN and also an agreement with China to sell more of our products and our produce in that area. So the people who are going to be impacted the most by South Africa being removed from AGOA are farmers, right? That was like one of the highest things that we sell to the United States. So the farmers are going to be the ones who are going to be hurt the most. And the funny thing here, or the irony, is that the people who started this fire is AfriForum, Solidarity, and all of their friends. They got onto a plane, if you remember, flew to the United States, met with Elon Musk, sat down there, tarnishing the image of South Africa and asking for punishment. Now, I used to think that people become leaders because they are smart, because anyone with half a brain would have seen this coming. First of all, if you want America to punish South Africa, how can it punish South Africa? Using trade. What are the things that we sell to the United States? Car parts and agricultural products. Now, who is going to be hurt if we hit those industries? Farmers. Who are our supporters as AfriForum and Solidarity? Farmers. So maybe it's not a good idea to start this fire because it's going to go around and burn our supporters, who are the farmers. But they never thought that far ahead. They went and started the fire, and now the fire is coming for them. And if you go online, you're going to see they are blaming everybody. They are blaming Ronald Lamola. They are blaming the government. They are blaming the DA, the VF+. They are blaming Rupert. They are blaming everyone for starting this fire. But they are the ones who started the fire. They got on a plane and went there and started the fire. So bottom line, the impact of us being removed from AGOA is not that much. I don't think South Africa is going to flinch out of that. The second thing is subsidy. So Trump says he's going to stop all of the payments that are made to South Africa. And this is weird because he's been saying this like 6 or 7 times already. I thought he stopped. Because he threatened and said that we're going to stop all of the payments. That was a long time ago. Then he said that again and again and again. Every time he says this, I'm like, didn't you stop already? Wait, we were still receiving money? But I looked at the numbers. So we used to receive about $400 million, which is about 0.01% of our GDP, because our GDP, I think, is like 400 billion. I didn't do the calculation, so don't crucify me. I'm doing it in my head right now. And it got reduced in 2025 from 400 million to about $115 million, which is like 0.002, something like that. I don't know. I didn't do the calculations, but that's the numbers, that's the math. So you can see it's a very small amount when it comes to how much that is going to impact South Africa. There will be specific sectors that will be hit a little bit harder, mostly the HIV prevention and ARV kind of like fund. But I'm pretty sure that the government can find ways to like close those holes. It's not like South Africa is going to fall apart because America says it's going to stop providing funding. It's not like we needed it, but we were accepting it because it was available, okay? So yeah, that's the bottom line. Now, we don't know if this is going to impact the FIFA World Cup and our team going there. If you've already bought a ticket, you might want to check on that, maybe cancel. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be for South Africans.
I need to talk about it. You know what? These brands are coming into South Africa and they're flooding the market. And is anyone thinking, what are you doing by buying them? You're seeing this. See, this is the good side. What you see. Oh, I can pay R4.5 a month for this big SUV. It's got so many features, it's got so many things, and you buy it. Have you ever thought about it? Think what you're doing, people. You see the economy as it is. Drive by a fast food shop that was always busy on payday, and you'll actually see month end that they are not as busy. People don't have money anymore. The South African economy is going down the hill. Why? Here's one aspect, just one small aspect, but let me explain it. Chinese brands come into South Africa. Now they don't have a plant here where they assemble the vehicle. They import them fully assembled. So they create the jobs, they just import the car, okay? We have trusted South African brands, good cars, better drive than these Chinese brands. The Chinese brands are so heavy on fuel. Anyway, we have plants here with thousands and thousands of people working there. Now, with these Chinese cars flooding South Africa and the South Africans buying it, if they didn't buy it, it wouldn't have been a problem, but they're buying it. Less sales for the established markets and cars that we do know, you know, our normal brands that we know, our trusted brands that we know. What's going to happen? Those plants, they don't have the sales anymore. Okay, sales are down. They're going to start paying off people, which they did. Go do your research. They're starting to pay off people. Okay, less jobs. Oh, we are bringing in South African, the Chinese brands into South Africa. For what? Not for the economy. It's not helping no one. We now have so many job losses. I don't know who's letting this happen. Why don't they raise the import taxes on cars? But that's a subject I'm not going to discuss. Not publicly, because I know better. You know, South Africa, nah. It's all about that brown envelope. But anyway, so these Chinese brands, and there's so many already here, and I hear there's another 4 or 6 coming in. It's a cutthroat business. So these people are actually... they are really cutting throat. They're going in cost to get the sales, to get in South Africa so people can buy it, but there's too many. Here's the big catch. The banks are really, they need to make money, they need to support these people, so they finance these cars. They make an offer available for all these Chinese brands. You finance them over 92, 96, 98 months with a 40% or 45% residual. What does that mean? That means you're going to finance half a car, pay 8 years on it, finance the other half, pay another 8 years. What's your car going to be 14, 16 years old by the time you sell it? That brand's no longer going to be in South Africa in 4 or 5 years. You won't get spares. There's no resale value on those cars. You can't even get a right now and try and sell it. No one's going to buy it. You owe more than you paid for it. It's worth nothing. No one can offer you even what you paid for it. people, the consequences are so big by South Africans supporting these Chinese brands. And the South Africans are thinking about today, oh, look, everyone can see me now. Check what I'm driving. You're driving a Chinese brand with features, with nothing, absolutely nothing. You financed it for 18 years. Think nicely about it, 14 years. But as a matter of fact, you think you're going to pay $4.5 a month. It's going to cost you $3.5 more on extra if you didn't buy a South African normal brand, because those cars are heavy on petrol. It's not the same drive. It's a hard drive. But people don't think. They think about today. They don't think about tomorrow. They don't think, you know what, this whole country's one sector is going to go down. You will see used car dealers closing down one by the other because of these Chinese brands. Because everyone, the sales are now off. There's no sales. Everyone's buying Chinese brands, not thinking what they're doing to themselves. Number one, thinking about their cousin, their niece. Everyone's going to lose their jobs. No one's going to have jobs anymore because the plants of the existing. You are killing our existing brands, people, by supporting this. And why doesn't the government raise those taxes on the import taxes on the cars? Make it impossible. Those Chinese brands, they are cutthroat the whole time. They can't sustain that for long. Those prices are going to increase eventually, and then there's going to be no sale. They won't be able to sustain it. They're going to leave South Africa. You're going to be stuck with your car. People don't think what they're doing, but my biggest concern is the job losses. You know what? This year was the worst year in the South African market for used car dealers. It was the worst for them. They're all suffering. They are paying off people. They are closing down because the government allows all these Chinese brands to come in, not realizing what they're doing to their country, how many job losses they are actually, the consequences of it, and they are responsible for that, but they don't care. There's more happening there. That's why it's happening, I suppose. Who else will know why they allow it? But the consequences are so great, and this country is going down the drain. Asking why they allow shit like this to happen.
Is because there's some racketeering that is happening. Gerald Cele sends Vusmatlala an account details. Vusmatlala deposit money into a private account, not Cele's account, someone else's account. He puts money into that account and he sends a proof to Cele. Cele acknowledge the receipt of that. And then there's other further communication. That's why I'm saying the communication between them is not about the arrest date. It's a communication we see dating back to 2024. There's criminality there that you need to investigate. Who was this money for? Now we're going to that bank account to see whether this money moved by Vus into that account. Did it end with that account, or did it move from that account back to Cele somehow? That's why there's a target there. So it's not a target of appointment per se, but it's the name because of that line. We even wrote a communication dating back to December 2024. Yeah. So it is not the number of calls that was spoken about in the media. It's what we picked up, is investigating.
I am.
You're a thief, you're a fraud, and you're corrupt. And the problem in this country today is that people like yourself clothe yourself in the respectability of calling yourself a businessman when you are nothing but a dishonest thug. You make an illicit fortune by stealing from the poorest of the poor. It's people like you and your associates that have robbed generations of South African children of their futures. Shame on you, sir. I'm finished, Chair.
Welcome to 1776 United, and we're in a worldwide and galactic revolution. And I'm Alex West on the 29th day of November, 2025. Now, I want to get caught up with some stuff that I've come across just to get it off my desk, and just so you can kind of get my point of view of what's happening right now. Now, I did listen to Benjamin Fulford and, the things that he was saying about Trump is dead, they killed him up in Canada, and all this other stuff that's going on here. let's just remember, gang, that this whole plan has been methodically thought out since 1963, no matter what is going on. For all we know, he might have been fed some, bad information, some information, or has been maybe told to go down this type of avenue of information, and we don't know for sure. Okay, so my advice to everybody that's listening to these type of comments: put it on the shelf. Let's just put it out there and put it on the shelf. Okay, I know there is a divine plan that's in place right now, no matter how it's going to be played out, and no matter who's in place, taking the place of our commander-in-chief right now. He is there for one purpose and one purpose only. That is to expose all the satanic corruption, corporate corruption, everything that is out there, and he's going to be bringing the usual suspects to justice. You're going to see stuff that he is revealing and bringing out into the light because people need to see this. They need to be hammered hard with the shot of reality. The intuitives, the starseeds, light workers, everything out there, have already gone through this. Our intuition and our critical thinking has brought us to this place where we are right now. Very awake, very wide aware, very aware of what's going on. So the things that are being played out right now may seem very monotonous and sometimes very frustrating for us because we've already been through it. We've already seen it and we've already experienced those experiences. But there's many millions of sleepers out there that have not got that shot of reality yet, and really need to have that shoved down their throats, especially some of the women and some of the leftist women. They need, with the Clintons and, this thing with Uma Ebedin and Clinton on the frazzle drip and all this other stuff, that has to be shoved down women's liberals' throats, and to see exactly the horrendous Holocaust that they have done on our little children. This is going to make people come unglued at the seams. It all has to be brought out. Everything, the whole reveal has to be brought out. Otherwise, if it doesn't, and these lefties and everybody else that does not go through the pain that we've been going through, it's not going to sink into them. And they're just going to carry on with their merry lives even after they're into the new world and everything that's going on. Everybody has to go through the pain. It's inevitable. It's like I had said this morning. We have to go down so far into the depths of the Death Valley and the horrendous ugliness that has been at our feet, behind our doors, behind our backs. The whole thing has to be exposed. Otherwise, we'll never learn the things that have been going on for thousands and thousands of years on our beautiful planet. Yes, we will receive loads of money. There is so much money out there, you will never have to work again. If you want to work 1, maybe 2 days a week because you want to work because you love it. You like to work, you want to stay busy, and that's how it's going to get done. But there's going to be no payment to any corporation because all the corporations are going to come down. And their days are numbered. Hospitals will be replaced by clinics or medbed centers. You just walk in and set an appointment, walk in and take it done, and it's going to be free. Your QFS account is already attached to your account, your bank account. They're not going to be needed anymore. You know, if you want to have some cash, you'll just go to an automated ATM, put in your Q card, and get what cash you want out. You know, you want 10,000 out, whatever. You know, it's your money to deal with whatever you want. Of course, everything's going to be monitored. Of course, you're going to be able to go through life and be able to buy a car, or, it doesn't. All those things will become superficial, because you'll have everything and then not need it anymore. The only reason why we have this starving thirst to have money and everything else, because we don't have it. And, the Dracos have been pushing us into poverty and starvation and poisoning us for thousands of years. We've come to be, I guess, immune to it. We've come to a point in our lives where we can't live this way anymore. And all the white hats had to do was expose a little bit of it here and there. That's what their job was to expose it. There ain't going to be a cavalry coming over. They're taking care of the exposure. And with the exposure being what they are, those Dracos will not be able to walk the streets. Their own Holocaust, what they have been doing, will put them in the courts of the public opinion and sentence them, because the people will demand the arrest and the hanging of these heinous people, if you want to call them people. Maybe when they do get exposed, the exposure of them being a reptilian coming out of their skin, or a drone tearing off their clothes but having no genitals running down the street, will have to hit the airwaves and the TV for everybody to have that sink in, to know how we've been invaded by these hybrids running around trying to act like we are. All of it's going to come out. Everything. The scare event, that's one thing. Yeah, that's going to get it. That's basically getting everybody's attention, is the World War III scare event. And whether it goes on or off, it doesn't matter. This whole thing is a movie. Yeah, but it was a movie designed to wake up the sleepers, not the intuitives. We are divine souls, okay, that have been blessed by our Father, by our Creator, with very, very sharp and high voltage intuition. We are critical thinkers. Many aren't critical thinkers. Many have to have put their finger on the elements on the stove before they realize it's a hot stove. They need that. They need that shock. And when they do get that shock, maybe many of them might not make it through that shock and awe. Many will, though. Many will realize, and it'll start making them think critically exactly on what's going on. That's going to be very, very hard for them to hide from, right? Trump is only there to expose all the criminality. He's there to clean the streets of 20 million illegals that are running the streets. Whether they're working or not, it does not matter. Whether they're, taking away the production of farmers at this point does not matter. The fact of the matter is, he's cleaning it up. And we, as a society, will adjust. What did farmers do back in the 1900s, when there was no migrants? They farmed with machinery. They farmed with, small equipment, maybe not big equipment. Maybe that's where we have to go back to. Maybe there will not be pesticides put in the fields. Maybe there won't be. All that's going to be gone, right? So the world is changing, and yeah, it sometimes, I mean, we have changed with it. We have been the intuitives, our divine soul intuitives have, with critical thinking, has evolved into Mother Gaia, into her 5D realm. She's adjusting and transforming right now. We are too. We're moving along with her, right? But there's many that aren't. They're lagging behind. And this is what the Great Awakening is going to be all about. When they get the news on their TV screens as they're sitting on the couch sucking on a beer on that Saturday night. And, his wife is next to him on the couch, sitting there, having her tea or coffee. And they're going to see this whole thing exposed. I believe it's all going to happen on or before Christmas. I believe there's a lot of things that are being revealed right now. And more is going to be revealed as the days come. This is just the beginning. We're gonna finally be vindicated for all the things that we've been trying to tell people to do for the last 10 years. It's slowly been a drip, and the drip has been dripping, and it's getting more drips and faster and faster. And more people are waking up organically. But it's going to get to the point where they're just going to open up the whole floodgates and the EBS will shut her all down. And the scare event will happen, and it'll put people into a panic. But us, divine souls, will be there sitting very comfortably watching this whole thing unfold, and people going absolutely mad around them. And we will be there to console into them, to bring them and let them, make them understand. You don't have to make them, just talk to them to try to bring them down off their psychoses, their psychotic trauma that they're going to be going through. Because they will be going through. There will be many, many of them going through, running down the streets, getting on their knees and praying. And, speaking of praying, go ahead and pray. It's okay. We're not, I'm just saying that, with all these temples and everything coming down, it's still okay. We are still spiritual beings. I don't believe in Christianity or any special religion of any kind. I know that the religions were there to divide the people, but I'm still connected with our spiritual, higher self, our guide, our spirit guide. We have that. So just, patriots, just sit back and relax. Everything's taken care of. There's nothing you have to do. Everything's in place financially and healthy for the health and everything. Everything's set in place. Try to start disciplining yourself by, getting yourself off the big pharma meds and start thinking about going to holistic supplements that'll make you feel good, and just eat healthy, as healthy as you can. Okay? And of course, not just the finance, but you're going to see prices come down. Right now, prices are through the roof and taxes are through the roof, and people just think it's a hopeless situation. And that's what we're supposed to be experiencing, a hopeless situation. And it's going to get so bad that people are going to fall off the planet. They're not going to make it. But this is the whole plan that has to be laid out for us when we do change and we do go into the new world, that we never want to come back to this ever again in millenniums. Okay? Anyways, I want to just get that out there, and I want to say God bless to everybody. Everything's fine. Do not spend your money or send it online to anybody. Okay, I only have one account. QFS is free, Alex West, at TikTok. And of course, Alex777 West on Rumble. God bless everybody. And of course, love and light, okay? Bye for now.
Breaking. President Putin says that Russia is ready to end this war via peaceful means and that President Trump's 28-point peace plan can serve as the foundation for the final settlement. The Nazis are addicted to war and will try to burn the world down to stop this.
As Hong Kong began a 3-day mourning period on Saturday after a catastrophic fire at a housing estate, authorities said they had arrested more than a dozen people in connection with the tragedy. The blaze, which tore through 7 high-rise blocks of the Wangfu Court complex on Wednesday, was the city's deadliest in nearly 8
If the moon landing truly happened, how did they get the pictures? Plus, printed on the newspaper the next day. The moon landing happened on July 20th, 1969. Yet, high-quality photos were already printed in newspapers the very next morning. No internet, no cloud drive, no lightning-speed data transfer. They claim signals traveled 240,000 miles instantly, while today we struggle to send a large file across town. And those photos? Perfectly framed. Crisp, clean. No dust, no blur, no shaky hands inside thick space gloves. Imagine a football stadium filled with fog. Now imagine taking a crystal clear photo through it. That's what the moon's dusty surface should have done to the lens. What if the story was prepared on Earth before the world even saw it? Try this. Just pause any moon landing photo and instead imagine a slow glide across an empty theater stage with fog drifting and lights hanging above. The atmosphere matches too well. Even NASA later said they lost the original tapes. Lost? That's like losing the first heartbeat of mankind. And after that, silence. No ultra-high-definition repeat mission. No modern remake. Just one perfect show in 1969. If tech was real, then shouldn't it be easier now? Yet rocket launches today often cut to wide shots of clouds. Ever notice that? Picture a time-lapse of paint brushing across a canvas. That's how fast the narrative arrived. New angles? No delay, just instant history. Movie directors take months to edit scenes, but the moon landing was ready overnight. Maybe space isn't far away. Maybe the story was always closer than we think.
Against what they call the persecution of minority communities in South Africa. They released a list of 10 ways the government is allegedly targeting minorities. The campaign is titled Stop the Persecution. This comes after Ramaphosa decided to accuse the United States government of bullying South Africa at the G20. He basically stood on the world stage, and pointed at Trump like a 6-year-old tattletaling and saying, "Sir, America's being mean to us."
Are you f***ing serious?
The White House raised legitimate concerns about political intimidation and human rights abuses, and our president's response was, well, the international version of, "You cannot bully me, I'm busy bullying other people." Lex Libertas is responding by saying, "Cool story, Cyril, but before you complain about the boogeyman overseas, maybe stop punching minority groups at home." They point to racist rhetoric, land seizures, race laws, scapegoating, farm attacks, blaming entire communities for everything wrong with the country, and then acting like the victim on CNN.
As usual.
This is the government equivalent of that guy who steals your phone, runs to the police station, and says, "Officer, this person wants to steal my phone. Keep him away from me."
Whatever defines you confines you. So as you go into this week, don't be like that eagle who had its egg placed among eggs of a chicken, and then the eagle accepted that definition and never flew beyond just a meter up in the air and was running around, scrounging in the ground, because the eagle had allowed itself to be defined by where it hatched. What defines you confines you. You are not a human position. You are not a human doing. You are not a human past. You are a human being. Another way to say that is you are a human potential. So don't be defined by what people think you are and what's possible for you. Don't be defined by your past. Don't be defined by present, internal and external. You are only defined by what you can be. You are a human being. In fact, a mentee of mine's just written a book called Do You. If you want a copy, I'll negotiate a free copy for you. Just ask me. But as you go into this week, let me just say this. Whatever you can conceive and go after, that's what you deserve. You are worthy of it. You can accomplish it. You are not limited by circumstances past, present. So go into this week and have a productive, purposeful, and profitable week.
As they lie about the moon landing and the world is waiting on peace. We all wait for the changes to come. Can you feel it in the air? Thanks for watching and please subscribe. This will help me grow my channel. It is all for free. See you next time.